Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Crypto Warehouse. I am Mike, and this is your Tuesday show, April the 28th, I think we are today. And we have a busy show. I have some new lighting here, so if you see a ring around my eyes, you know what that is. And we have a busy show. But before I forget, let's take a quick minute to remember our friends in Europe. Okay, let's celebrate with them the darkness that descended upon Portugal, Spain, and France yesterday due to an atmospheric condition commonly known as green energy. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the power went off in Europe yesterday. And of course, as you can see, we have power. Why? Because where I live, we have a gas-powered station. So we do not lose the power when the wind blows a different direction or a seagull flies in front of the sun. I hope you are all doing well. Good morning to you all in chat. Danny is here. KB is here. Velvet Rope. Mags is here. A crazy day. How are you guys? Hello. Good morning. Good morning. I am not bad today. I had a good stream yesterday with the Oracle. That was a good stream. We then had an ambassador call with a potential new client that descended into absolute chaos when, for one reason or another, it never transpired that we're going to work with these people ever again. But I'd love to tell you the story, and maybe I will tell you the story one day. But suffice to say, we started the stream yesterday 15 minutes early, and we finished 10 minutes early yesterday to try and fit this call in. And the Oracle had steam coming out of his ears. I had tears rolling down my cheeks. And sometimes you just have to laugh at what people want you to do. But anyway, enough of that nonsense. We're going to have a look at the Bitcoin chart. Sorry, we're going to have a look at the crypto prices in a minute. We have some X-Files for you, as always. But what are we going to get into today? We're going to get into MicroStrategy. And this is something which I don't think a lot of people realize what he is doing. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're then going to talk about Bitcoin yield. No, we're not going to talk about Maple in this example. We're going to talk about something else. We're going to talk about ADA, the Golden Cross. What does that mean for ADA? And, of course, the news about Charles asking to be paid for his work. We're going to talk about XRP futures and why they're not going to be a big thing and why they aren't even going to go live in the next few days. We're going to talk about Tether Gold. We're going to talk about Bonk. And we're going to talk about World Liberty Finance. It's actually a show today where we have no meme coins, no games, no silly tokens to talk about. It's just going to be straight up opinion on all of these things. As you can see on the right-hand side, the Oracle made me a nice, swanky menu. So thank you, Oracle, for that. And it shows you everything. Bottom left-hand corner, I've not updated that for a while. Power up. Yeah, I know Mags is in Portugal. Did you have power yesterday or did it go off? I don't know where. I think some of you were in the UK. I did read about, you learn a lot of things on the internet when you read about these power cuts. And it was called a black start, a dark start, when you have to basically start the grid from scratch. And it sounds like an absolute nightmare. But that's what happens. That's what happens. Let's get on and have a look at the charts. Right then, Bitcoin is coming in over $95,000. Okay, we're a long way from $76,000. As we said before, we're going to see these 30% dips. 109,000, irrespective of Trump, brings you down to $75,000, $78,000. That's where we came, and we've had a bounce up. It doesn't mean we're out of the woods. It doesn't mean we can't go back down again. But these types of dips and bounces happen. And yes, it's Trump. Yes, it's tariffs. But we've seen many of these things in the past. It just happens. 95,000 is a good spot for Bitcoin. I did say back in February that we would get to an all-time high in April. And we are 10, 15% away from that. So we're a little bit away from where I think we would be. Ethereum's coming in over $1,800. That's nice. XRP, again, still not back at 250. Solana, still at 150. Decent. Cardano, not back at 80 cents yet. So a good run. Sui, And Chainlink and Avalanche, I've mentioned this to you before, and I'm going to keep mentioning it to you. The gap between the top 10 and everybody else is huge now. This never used to be the case. In fact, Litecoin used to be knocking on the door. Chainlink was a lot higher when it was at 25, 30 cents. Sui, I think, of all the chasing coins, I look at Toncoin in 16th, that was 9th. I think of all the coins in the chasing pack, you've got to look at Sui as probably the only one really in the next couple of months that could even get anywhere near the top 10. So your top 10 seems to be quite set. Now, it's not really a top 10, is it? It's a top 8 because you've got to take out USDC and USDT. So there's only really 8 cryptocurrencies with a 20 billion plus market cap. That's not many. And if you're going to build a portfolio, again, I said this about World Limited Finance, I've said this about ETFs. It wouldn't be a bad idea to have a portfolio of just the top 10, the top 8 cryptocurrencies. It's not a bad idea. I'm not saying it's the best idea in the world, but it's not a bad idea. At least your money will be safer than chasing some of the coins that are out there. Top gainers then, Virtuals is up 15% again. I have a small bag of that. Solea, however you want to pronounce it, is up. Theta is up. Flare, another one of the crap Bitcoin forks, is up. Floki is up. Monero, again, at 277, not bad. Some gainers, not as big as the gainers we had yesterday, of course. Trump is down, again. One of those coins where I think if you hold it, you hold it. And if you don't buy it. Pudgy is down. But again, that's had a 137% pump in the last 7 days. You've got to expect some of these are going to have profits being taken along the way. Pi is trash. Trash, absolutely trash. I remember when that was at $20 before it started to go live. It's rubbish. There's nothing to it. Don't buy it. And then, okay, Bonk, which we're going to talk about how much it's pumped, is down 4% today. So there are your charts. Oh, sorry, your prices. There's not really a lot to say here. No power at all for mags. Now, again, when it comes to your elections in however many years' time, try not to vote for a party that wants to blow up your power stations. I'm not saying that's what you vote for. It's entirely up to you. But you have to have a reliable power grid, okay? And that reliable power grid is something that involves a mixture of different things, not just wind and solar. Going wind and solar for a day like Spain did a few days ago is terrible. And of course, don't forget that we have mini nuclear reactors on the way. Rolls-Royce have been building mini nuclear reactors. So that's going to be something that's going to save us in the future. Now then, this is not a scene from the wildfires. This is a scene from the bears. The bears are finished, okay? The bears are on fire. The bulls have walked in and torched the bears. We, in my opinion, are going to take the next leg up. There are a lot of things happening which are not going unnoticed. And whether you are bullish or bearish at this moment in time, everything that is coming out about Bitcoin at this moment in time is massively bullish. Whether the price reflects that or not is a different matter. But some of the stuff we're going to talk about today is an indication of where we're going to go. Real world assets, Bitcoin yield, two things that we talk about an awful lot on here. Massive. The advent of AI and AI starting to be used more and more in blockchain and crypto projects. We're getting to the point now where it's getting very serious. And I think the bears, over the next 6 months, are going to lose more than they're going to win, in my opinion. There is a graphic of the various different states of America and how many of them are going to be taking up, having a percentage of their treasury in Bitcoin. 10% in most cases. That's going to add to it. We're going to talk about Sailor in a minute. That's going to add to it. And what you have to understand, 450 Bitcoin a day coming into the world, being born. That's it. BlackRock bought thousands in one day. There is not enough Bitcoin in the world. And I know I sound like a Bitcoin maxi. There's not enough Bitcoin to go around. It's simple. It's simple math. The price has to go up, and we're seeing more and more institutional adoption. I'm going to show you another chart in a minute. The end of the road is nigh. We are on the path to heaven. Now, this is one of the reasons that virtual is pumping. It's been listed on Binance US. That will be listed today at 7 a.m., which I think is about now. Again, there are, again, we talk about meme coins. Not all meme coins are generated and are the same. Not all AI projects are the same. You need to pick the biggest ones, or the ones that look like they have the biggest chance of success. And virtual, for me, is the one I picked. It got absolutely hammered, and now it's starting to come back. I don't hold a lot of virtual, by the way. I don't even know if I hold $100 of it, but I did buy a little bit. Right then, Robinhood Chairman and CEO Vlad Tenev is to speak at the Bitcoin 25 conference, which is in May. There he is. Why is this important? Because the likes of Eric Trump, Donald Trump Jr., Cynthia Lummis, the CEO of Robinhood, the CEO of Revolut, the CEO of Goldman Sachs, none of these people would go to a Bitcoin conference 2 years ago. Now, this might seem like nothing to you, which is fine, but understand these people wouldn't have gone anywhere near a Bitcoin conference 4 years ago. Some of them would, of course, the Michael Saylors, yes, the people that are in crypto, but now it's hip and cool and trendy. So people are starting to show up. And we're going to start to see the next wave of people are going to be the men in suits. And then after that, you're going to start to see, celebrities are going to get involved again. Remember, the celebrities were hammered. Shaquille O'Neal, the guy that throws that egg ball in America that was associated with FTX, whatever he was called, they all got absolutely hammered by the SEC. Not the case anymore. Now then, BitGo, with 100 billion assets under management, becomes the first US qualified custodian to support Marinade Finance native staking. Institutions can now stake Solana with full custody and compliance. Again, this was shared by Anatoly yesterday. Marinade, I've made videos about and I've talked about, and they have their own liquid staking token called MSOL. Binance has its own. I think it's called BNSOL, something like that. Liquid staking basically means that unlike Sol, where you stake it and then you have to wait 5 days for it to unstake, you can just buy one of these staking tokens and it will accrue in value. And they take a cut and you get the rest. So it's a way of having your assets liquid without staking them, but you give up a little bit of your staking in return. It's a good idea. Now, we love Marinade. We love Blaze, BSOL. We love MSOL. We love all the different liquid staking tokens. But remember this, there is never a 0% chance that they can depeg. That's something to bear in mind. The bigger these projects go, however, the less chance that is of happening, because the tokens are held as they should be. The proof of reserves is already there, but Marinade is one of the bigger ones. And this is, again, it's more bullish news. Some of this news that I'm reading out, again, it might just sound really, really blasé, like, well, that's just something we should expect. But we are seeing change in front of our eyes. The stuff I was reading out 2 years ago is not what we're reading out now. This list, I read it out 2 weeks ago. It was top 70. It's now top 75. It was top 20 6 months ago. Every single one of these companies holds Bitcoin. Strategy, of course, 553,000 is the biggest. But Marathon, 21, Riot, CleanSpark, Tesla, Hut. Tesla was second on this list for ages. Galaxy. But then you have some newcomers, and you're seeing different countries. Brazil, Japan, Canada. I showed you this a few weeks ago, and it was 70. It's now 75. The next stage is to have 100, then 250, then 1,000. That's the way we see adoption. It starts off slowly and it grows and grows and grows. And I am not going to let you take your eyes off this. It's so important you understand. If you only ever hold one cryptocurrency, it's Bitcoin. Forget everything else. We like everything else we talk about, but Bitcoin is the real true king, and it's never going to be taken out. The same way gold is never going to be taken out. Bitcoin is the alpha. Now then, this is part of the thing I was just been mentioning about US states. Arizona becomes the first US state to pass a Bitcoin reserve bill that allows 10% of the public funds to be invested in virtual currencies like Bitcoin. The bill will still need to pass the Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs's desk in order to be signed into law. I don't know whether she's going to sign it into law, but that's not the point. We're knocking on the door. And US states, some of them are tiny. Some of them don't have a lot of buying power. But then you have the likes of California. You have the likes of Texas. Huge states with a lot in reserves. You've then got other issues. You know, you've got other things like you've got the fireman's pension fund, for example. Billions in assets, all looking to buy Bitcoin. Now, these are diamond hands. These people will buy Bitcoin and it will never see the likes of the Binance exchange ever again. Okay? And if it does, it's a long way into the future where the price is a multiple of where we are now. And this is happening all over America. And I know it's America-centric, but America is one of those places where other countries will follow. Other countries will follow and start to have their own Bitcoin reserve. And that's the point where game theory comes into play. And we don't want to see you paper handing your Bitcoin. I think I said on the stream yesterday with the Oracle, when Bitcoin hits $200,000 or $250,000 or whatever it hits in the next few years, and you'll see the likes of these, you know, socialists come on camera and say, Bitcoin has been created for rich people to get richer and for poor people to get poorer. I want you to be in the position where you hold that Bitcoin and you are on the side where you are called lucky by people. You are on the side where people come to you and say, oh, you've been in Bitcoin for a while, what do you recommend? That is your job. You are an ambassador of crypto, but most importantly, an ambassador of Bitcoin. And if people come to you and say, I can't afford to hold Bitcoin, it's your job to tell them that they can buy $5 worth of Bitcoin, €5 worth of Bitcoin, £5 worth of Bitcoin. That's your job. You need to tell them, oh, you don't need to hold one. You can hold sats, which is the fractions. It's like having a pound. You can own pennies. It's like having a euro. You can own cents. So you need to do that. That's your job. Strategy has added 1.4 billion in Bitcoin and nears the limit of equity offering program. This is where the fun starts. Because Strategy, MicroStrategy, Strategy B, whatever you want to call it, nowadays, they keep having share issues, and then they just keep going and buying Bitcoin. But there comes a point where he can't physically buy any more Bitcoin. They've bought another 15,400 or nearly 15,400 Bitcoin. They now own over 500,000 Bitcoin. It's worth $52 million. Bear in mind that when we hit $150,000, that's going to be 75 billion. When we hit $200,000, that's going to be worth 100 billion. Is it going to be the first or one of the first $1 trillion companies along with others? Probably. But there is some kind of rule in place where they are only allowed. Here we go. The recent purchase was funded using a mix of sources. 97% of funds stemmed from selling 4 million worth of common shares. They raised 37.5 million through the sale of its perpetual STRK preferred stock. So there he is. Stack humble, stack sats. Now down here, it says here, where is it? They can only sell a certain amount of shares, and they are approaching that limit, which it doesn't mention it in here. Basically, they're hitting a limit. They can't keep going out and buying Bitcoin. They can't keep going out and issuing stocks. But The importance of this is they have bought 15,000. Now, that is a month, 450, 4,500. They've bought a month and a bit's worth of Bitcoins in a day or 2 days, however long it took them. They now own over 500,000 Bitcoin. They are diamond handing. BlackRock is also diamond handing. They are consuming more than the entirety of Bitcoin that's being produced. Bitcoin is being bought up at such a rate that every new company that comes in that buys 10 or 100 new Bitcoin, it's consuming all of the supply. All of the supply that's on exchanges is starting to drop. The new Bitcoin that's being produced is just evaporating, okay? It's like throwing pennies into a fountain. The pennies are just disappearing into the water, okay? The demand is so high for Bitcoin that at some point we are going to get to panic and FOMO and supply shock. And I've said this for at least 2 years now because the supply has been dropping on exchanges ever since we've been making videos. It did have a few spikes during all-time highs in 2021 and times like that, but we're getting to the point where Bitcoin is becoming a scarce asset. So much so that this, for me, is the next evolution of Bitcoin. Now, you know we've made videos about CoreDAO, 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 and Maple Finance, who in the bottom right-hand corner, as you can see, they are one of the sponsors of the channel. Now, CoreDAO is a platform where you can go and stake your Bitcoin. You can earn core tokens. You can then re-stake those core tokens and earn a higher Bitcoin yield. That's quite difficult to do as an individual. If you use Maple Finance to do it, for example, you can earn about 5% on your Bitcoin. Now, this is for education. I'm not promoting Coinbase in any way, shape or form. But what I want to show you is the direction that people are going. Now, first of all, it's not available to people in America. And secondly, it's not your Bitcoin anymore. They have the keys. So they're the two things you need to bear in mind. So that's the risk. They're not your keys. They're now the keys of another exchange. Now, at some point in the future, maybe not today, maybe not 2025, there's going to come a time where you will be able to stake your Bitcoin from a ledger onto some kind of app where you will earn a yield. That's at some point in the future. You can already do it with proof of stake tokens. I think Cardano allows you to do that. Maybe Solana allows you to do that through Ledger as well. So the proof of stake is not a problem. But at some point, somebody is going to be able to find a way to take your ledger-based Bitcoin and use it as collateral to then give you a yield somehow. I don't know how and I don't know when, but it's going to happen. Now, I don't ever want to sell my Bitcoin. I've held my Bitcoin for 8 years, 9 years, 2016, 9 years maybe. I don't want to sell my Bitcoin. But if somebody said to me, we will pay you 5% on your Bitcoin if you allocate your Bitcoin to us in a safe, non-custodial way, I would do that in a heartbeat because it's still my Bitcoin, it's still in my control, but I'm earning a yield from it because they can use it as some kind of collateral. I don't know how that's going to work. But there are already custodial ways to earn these yields. As I've said, CoreDAO and Maple, that's one of the products we talked about last Wednesday with Nikolai, and we're going to get Nikolai on a Spaces again in the future. We're going to talk about him. I think we're going to do a Binance audio stream at some point. And the key here is to understand that Bitcoin is 2/3 of all the assets in crypto, yet it produces no yield. There has to be a way to tap into it. And some people are looking at this. And that's why I'm saying I'm not pointing out this to highlight another exchange. I'm using this as a point of discussion to say that this is coming, and it's already here, but it's already here in a less than perfect way. That's the key. And you might be able to hold your Bitcoin in a way that's safe and earns you money. Think of it as staking if you have to. But this is the thing that excites me. And I've talked about this countless times because this is the key. Now, Cardano and Charles are working on a system where you might be able to earn a yield in ADA from Bitcoin. Now, that sounds great, and you're thinking, well, I don't want ADA, I want Bitcoin. The reason that you use Maple Finance, or the reason that you would use this Coinbase account, for example, is that they auto-generate the yield in Bitcoin. So every time that Cardano is generated, it's immediately swapped back into Bitcoin and then immediately restaked. So even though Solana might offer it through Zeus, where you stake your Bitcoin through Zeus and it generates 5% in Solana, there will be a mechanism to sell that Solana back into Bitcoin. So forget the fact that you're earning a second asset and focus on the fact that over a period of a year, you will have 5% more Bitcoin. Or you might not want auto yield. You might want it to be automatically brought down to your non-custodial wallet, your Phantom wallet. And then you just stack your Solana and you're earning Solana off your Bitcoin. There's multiple ways to do this, but it's massively important that somebody cracks this egg because it's going to make a huge impact for you because you don't want to sell your Bitcoin. Now, I've segued beautifully into this by talking about Cardano. I didn't realize this was the next article up. So Cardano Golden Cross finally confirmed. Again, the Death Cross, the Golden Cross, these are just terms where the moving averages cross over, okay? And the issue really now is, for me, to do with Cardano, is not one of fundamentals, because if they crack the Bitcoin Enigma code, then they've cracked it. And we're going to see a $3 or $5 Cardano. I've got no doubts about that. I'm not too sure I agree with Charles when he says there's going to be a $10 Cardano. I think that's a little bit extreme. But I certainly think $3 for Cardano is absolutely achievable. $5 for Cardano is absolutely achievable. And we're currently at, what, 70 cents? So we're still talking about potentially a 7x from here, which isn't bad from where Cardano is. But we've seen a golden cross. That's a positive. It's a bullish signal. The golden cross suggests ADA has potential upward price momentum and a possible shift towards a long-term bull market. It usually comes with strong buying pressure and investor optimism. The last time Cardano registered a golden cross, it had a price surge. It's at 70 cents now. Again, $5 would take it to be a 7x. That's a 700% return. Can't guarantee that. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's a small enough market cap for it to happen. I won't expect XRP, for example. I don't expect XRP to do a 7x because the market cap is so much higher and it's a bit more difficult to do it when it's that amount because you have to pump a lot more money in. But 80 cents, luckily enough, is also where they have their resistance level, which is where I have mine. I think 80 cents is the next target for ADA. And then, of course, the $1 is psychological. We talk about, it's actually, it talks a lot about of the things that I talk about, which is psychological levels. $1 for Cardano. You can look at Ethereum, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. Bitcoin, the obvious one, is $100,000. Okay? They are psychological levels, not necessarily a level that would be on the Oracle's chart or KB's chart, but it's a level that in somebody's head they might sell at 99 cents or 99,800 or $9.90. That's where the sell pressure comes from. That's what creates the resistance. If ADA finds support at $1.10, it could go on to $2. I don't know whether that's going to be in the short term. Now, that's the good news about Cardano. Now, what I'm going to do is restart the browser because I don't want it to go too slow. And I'm going to put myself on full screen because there is an issue. There will be an issue, and I want to bring that issue up. I'll answer your question in a second, Eugene. I want to just restart my browser so I don't lag too much. Now, there is a bit of a war going on Cardano, which I think will negatively impact. There we go. Now that should be a lot faster now. So Charles has come out and said, we want paying. IOHK, whatever it's called, handed over the keys to Cardano last year, and they're now an independent body. And for them to continue to build on Cardano, they want money, and a sizable amount of money, not in one go, but a sizable amount of money. And there is negotiations going on. People are arguing against, people are arguing for. There's a lot of that kind of stuff going on. And in the end, I think let me just bring this up. In the end, I think if Charles and the team have been the main contributor to Cardano, then they should be paid and their development costs should be paid. But I also think that there needs to be some level of control over how much they get paid. But the reason I'm mentioning this is that these kind of politics can negatively affect the price. We look at Ethereum. Ethereum is rolling out some new updates, which a lot of the Ethereum community believe are going to help Ethereum to get back on the fast track. But they should never have not been on the fast track in the first place. And that's my issue with Vitalik. I think he's a net positive, but I think it's only just a net positive. And I think there's an issue with Ethereum that needs to be resolved. And the issue with Cardano is a lot smaller. There's two real issues I've got with Cardano. One is liquidity, stablecoin liquidity, and two is this new issue which has come about, which is Charles. Now, both of those issues will be completely blown out of the water if they can demonstrate at the Bitcoin conference later this year, I think it's September, if they can demonstrate Bitcoin transactions being run through the Cardano blockchain. And if they can show DeFi, Bitcoin DeFi running through Cardano, then you are going to look at an all-time high of Cardano. But that's a big if and a big but. But that positive would outweigh these negatives. So all is not rosy with Cardano at this moment in time. And it will come to pass, and there will be a conclusion come to it, and they will move on from it. But in the meantime, I don't want to see too many negative articles about this, about Cardano war and all this kind of stuff. But that may keep the price down a little bit, the same way that Ethereum is currently having an issue there. But the issue that Ethereum has got, remember what I said yesterday, it makes not a jot of difference, because the second that staking comes to Ethereum through the likes of BlackRock and everybody else, they're just going to buy Ethereum, and nobody cares what Ethereum does because they don't know what crypto is. They just know their financial advisor is saying go 80% Bitcoin, 20% Ethereum, and they'll just go along with it. And we're going to have a passive explosion in Ethereum. And everyone is then going to turn around and say, I can't believe they're buying Ethereum. It's crap. Look at the state of Ethereum. Why is it now at $3,000? Why is it now at $4,000? Institutional adoption is more than just the big blue chip companies buying into a project. It's also about portfolio management. People will not want to put all their eggs in one basket and just hold Bitcoin. They will want to hold Ethereum and probably Solana and probably XRP, probably Cardano as well. And irrespective of how those chains do, people are still going to buy those tokens because they're going to be part of funds. So I think Cardano needs to ride out this wave and then move on. I think we'll be fine, but it just will take some time. Now, in answer to the question asked by Eugene about the Maple. So, April the 30th, MPL, the token, is going to be no more. And it's going to be delisted. It's not going to exist. And if you hold MPL, you need to sell it for syrup now. And the question that was asked is, what will it do to the price of syrup? Now, I made some charts. We spoke about them on Wednesday. The Oracle brought up his charts as well. The syrup token is likely to go down over the next 2 days, in my opinion. And then it is likely to go up. Okay? The reason is that syrup is more than just a token. It's obviously got syrup USDC, it's got the institutional stuff like that, it's got staking going on. There's going to be a vote on what to do with the syrup that hasn't been migrated. That can be burned, it can be distributed, whatever it might be, go to the treasury. But the actual token itself is going to start going back up. I think my price target was 18 cents, and I think I gave that price target at about 13 cents. And my price target after that, I think, is about 20. They're fairly small in terms of cents per token. But if you think about it, going 18 to 20 cents is like a 12 or 13% increase. So that's where I think we're going to go. In the short term, I think we're going to go down today or tomorrow. I am actually going to go out today and buy syrup. I was going to buy it yesterday, but myself and the Oracle were in the office and we didn't make it back in time. So I'm going to go and buy some syrup, and I am going to probably send the syrup that I own and the newly bought syrup. I'm probably going to send that to SyrupFi and start staking it so I can carry on with the vote. So I think short term, in the next 2 days, is the best time to buy it. And then I think it will accumulate after that. But longer term, it's easy for me to sit here and say $2. I'm not going to do that, but it is easy for me to sit here and say that. But I think genuinely, there's no reason we shouldn't be at 50 or 60 cents because of the rapid increase that they've got in their TVL. They're going through an adoption phase where people are depositing money. And that Bitcoin 5% yield that they're offering through CoreDAO is a goldmine. Okay, so from my point of view, that's what I would say, Eugene, is look at maybe trying to get some. I don't know what the price is today. Is it 14 or 16 cents? But I certainly think we're going to be at 18 or 19 cents very soon. And conservatively, listen, if it gets to 60 cents, I'm selling because I bought at 12, and that's a 5x. And even more, as much as I love Maple Finance, and I do, we only work with projects that we like. I say this all the time. We only work with projects we like. We only apply to projects we like. The one we applied to yesterday was a great project, but the metrics around what we had to do to make it profitable to carry out content creation for them was ridiculous. If I asked you to go and work for me for 9 months and then maybe we'll pay you something in 9 months' time, but we don't know what we're going to pay you in 9 months' time, would you take that job? No, you wouldn't. So that's the issue that we've got. The trust me, bro, should not apply to asking people to work for you. Now then, so this is false. And that is one of the reasons I wanted to cover this. It's false. And everybody is sharing it. And I follow the boring people in suits. As you know, Eric Balchunas, we've had many a good conversation about 80s and 90s music. James Safeart is another one that I follow. ProShares will be launching the ETFs. We can confirm that that's not the case. We don't have a confirmed launch date, but we believe they will launch and likely launch in the short or possibly medium term. Now, this is why Eric, okay. Should I have a rant about this? I'm going to have a rant about this. So, you follow people on YouTube. You follow people on X. You follow people maybe on Reddit, TikTok, wherever it might be. And what you see is you see people sharing information which is factually incorrect. There is a chart going around about the global money supply, and it's got a massive spike, and people are telling you that a Bitcoin is going to go to $250,000 based on this new money supply, a global money supply, and that's the key. Now, Ben Cowan and 2 or 3 other people who know their stuff have already said the reason for the spike in that chart is to do with the way that China reports its money supply. China is one of the top 2 economies in the world with America, and it's changed the way it reports its money supply. And that money supply has absolutely spiked because they've added, I don't know what it is, 400 trillion, 100 trillion, whatever it might be, to the money supply, and it's shown a spike. And what crypto Twitter has done is they've taken 2 plus 2 and made 7, and basically said to you, if we follow this chart, because there is a lag, the lag does exist. The money supply, I think it's 8 to 12 weeks or something like that of the money supply going up. Bitcoin normally goes up. But it's not going to follow this trajectory because that money supply is a reporting issue, not a print of capital or a print of money. So be very careful who you listen to. Now, I listen to these people. Why? Because it's their job. Eric's job, James's job, the other, what's she called? The really good girl that I follow. It's their job to report the information from the governments, from the ETFs, from the stock exchange. It's their job. And if you follow the Trust Me Bros and we're going to the Moon Bros, you're going to be following this information. And the problem with this is that you will go out and buy XRP today and yesterday thinking that it's going to rip to the moon. Number one, it isn't going live tomorrow. And number two, it's futures. It's futures. It's not spot. Now, because of this, futures don't buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP. They don't buy them. But the reason it's important is because normally 6 months after the futures are put live, so ETF futures go live on January the 1st. July the 1st, the spot ETFs can go live. So this is the precursor to the main event. This is your entree. This isn't even your starter. You go and sit down at your table and that fancy waiter comes over, shows you the bottle of wine, pours you a glass and leaves a lump of bread on the table and some butter. That's what this is. It's a lump of bread and butter. Okay, it's not even your starter. That is why it's important to follow these people and not listen to some rando on X telling you to go and buy Doge on Mars because it's going to go up 10,000x. Tether's tokenized gold hits a record 7.7 ton. So they own 7.7 tons of gold. Now, there's a bit of confusion here, and I think it's semantics, and I don't like it. I would not call a gold-backed asset a stablecoin, but I would call a euro or a USD or a GBP backed asset a stablecoin, because I don't consider gold to be a currency. I consider it to be a commodity. Now, XAUT, PAXG, they are basically tracking gold, tracking the spot price of gold. So if you don't want to physically have the gold bars in your house, and maybe you would, maybe they look nice. I've got physical gold. I actually have physical gold, little tiny gold bars, Krugerrands and all that kind of stuff. I've got that, but it's you buy it. It takes a few weeks to get sent to you. You don't know if it's going to turn up, all that kind of stuff. You can go and buy synthetic versions or tokenized versions of gold. Now, they now have 7.7 tons of gold. No, go away. So the tracking of it is pretty much spot rate. So if gold is at $3,300, you could go and buy the Tether gold product and probably pay $3,306, for example. Or you want to go and sell it, you might get $3,292. There's always going to be a small loss against the actual price of gold. Now, it's very appealing to go and buy gold, but gold is all-time high. So I wouldn't personally go and buy gold right now. But if you want to buy gold for the next 20 or 30 years, go and DCA in whatever you want to go and put into gold. If you want to end up with $10,000 worth of gold in 2 years' time, you buy $50 worth of gold whatever that works out as, every week, every 5 days, you go and buy that amount of gold. It's entirely up to you. And gold is not a bad idea to have in your portfolio, even though you should have Bitcoin, you should also have other assets as well. But 7.7 tons. And I don't even think this started that long ago. I don't think it's that old an asset. So it's done incredibly well. Now we're going to move on to talk about something we haven't talked about in forever, and that's a meme coin on Solana. Now, I'm not here to promote Bonk. I used to hold Bonk, and I used to stake it on their platform for a couple of months. And then, I don't know when it was. Last year, I think the price of Bonk went up considerably. And I think I sold all of my Bonk and bought either Sol or Dupe. I can't remember which now. But I sold off all of my meme coins. I still hold a bit of Wen, and I still hold my Pudgy, or Pudge, whatever it's called. I still hold them, but the rest of it I've sold into Solana and sold into Dupe. Now, I know it's down today, but it's still up 50 odd percent in the last few days. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on with Bonk. I don't call it a meme coin as such anymore. I would say it's a community coin. And the reason for that is that Bonk is more than just a meme coin. I'll bring it up in a minute to show you. So I sold probably on the left of this screen, luckily, before it went to the right of this screen. But again, I could show you any chart from January until now, and the majority of them are going down. Even Bitcoin is down 12,000 from its all-time high. But Bonk has been on the rise. Recently on the rise. Does this actually... There we go. Despite macroeconomic headwinds, sentiment on the cryptocurrency market remains cautiously hopeful. Crypto markets climbed on Monday. Is that it? Bonk was up 11%. Bonk's recent momentum surpassed the daily SMA, which has capped its price since December, so it's broken out. The rebound continued, reaching highs in Monday's trading session. The next resistance is XYZ, which we probably just hit. Now, I think it's called Bonk Coin, the website. And again, we say this before, not all AI tokens are created equally. Not all meme coins are created equally as well. Now, here we go. I think it's called Bonk Coin. Now, I want to show you something very briefly. Again, this isn't... I don't hold Bonk. I just want to show you why I don't think this is a meme coin like many other meme coins. It doesn't matter about the followers, but it's on 13 chains. Okay, now down here, you've got the list of products which Bonk has. Recently, BonkBot was integrated with Jupiter, but it's got Bonk Swap, Bonk Rewards, it's got Scooper, it's got a betting site. Now they used to have more metrics than this on the front page. 911,000 holders, so nearly 1 million people hold Bonk. It is listed on exchanges, yes, but it's also on the likes of Revolut, as is Mew, another one of our sponsors. They're listed on Mew as well, on Revolut as well. So the key to understand this is not a one-page website with a picture of a cat and a link to the contract address. This is a serious project, okay? And that's why potentially in this bull run and next bull run, we're going to see the death of a lot of different tokens. But if you compared Doge and Shiba and Bonk, if you compared those three tokens against each other, I would certainly put Bonk second, if not first, amongst those tokens. I prefer it over Dogecoin because I think it's active. I prefer it over Shiba because I think there's more utility. I think Doge doesn't do enough. I think Shiba has kind of plateaued, but Bonk has just kept building. It's got a Telegram trading bot, which was all the rage not long ago. It's got a swap functionality now. It's got staking. It's got everything you want from a meme coin. But they always get overlooked because people want the next new shiny thing. I said this 1,000 times. If you're if you've got a little 2-year-old and you give them a fire engine and they'll play with that fire engine on the floor, if you then come along with an ambulance and you wave the ambulance at them, they'll put the fire engine down and start playing with the ambulance. If you then come along with, I don't know what toys kids have got nowadays, an action man, and you give him the action man, he'll start playing with the action man, and the fire engine will, and the ambulance will be put to one side because it's the next new shiny thing. We don't grow up. We just do different things. And those different things are buying the next meme coin or the next AI project, the next real world asset project. But you miss out along the way. You miss out some absolute corkers of projects because of that. And like I said, of every meme coin that exists today, which one do I think has the best chance of being here in 10 years' time? I would say Doge, SHIB, Bonk. Those three. The market caps are big enough. They do just about enough. Doge is hanging on because it's the OG. SHIB's got plenty going for it. And Bonk has an entire ecosystem. So again, not all meme coins are created equally. I would say, based on this, do we really want to call Bonk a meme coin anymore? And I changed my opinion on Bonk. I absolutely slated it when it came out. I said it was absolute garbage. And, in my defense, it was garbage. It was a garbage coin. It didn't do anything. And it spent a year building those tokens, and I made a video saying I was wrong on Doge. World Liberty Financials signs partnership with Pakistan Crypto Council, the PCC, I think it is called. Just give me a second. I love banners that you can't get rid of. World Liberty Financial, supported by Donald Trump, agreed with Pakistan's Crypto Council to boost innovation in the digital asset sector. The agreement is significant for Pakistan's cryptocurrency landscape, promising to facilitate blockchain adoption and increase investments in the blockchain space. The signing of the letter of intent is to enhance the landscape. So, again, I'm going to have a little rant about this as well in a minute. Zach has remarked, today marks a major step forward for Pakistan's digital economy. Market reactions have been largely positive. He noted on social media that the agreement marks a major step forward for Pakistan's digital economy. His sentiments are shared by industry leaders, with the strategic collaboration expected to enhance trust and propel blockchain advancements, despite some skepticism about regulatory frameworks. Didn't know this, by the way. Pakistan ranks 9th globally in crypto adoption, processes about 300 billion in annual transactions, highlighting its significant role in the digital landscape. Now, we don't need to read any more about that. I think there was a Prime Minister of the UK called Tony Blair. And Tony Blair, he was a schmoozer. He was a smoozer. And he, let's get rid of this now. We don't need that anymore. We'll go full screen. He schmoozed people. He basically got to know everybody on the world stage, and then he stopped being the Prime Minister of the UK, and then he opened up multiple companies and started to be an advisor to multiple countries around the world, mainly small Eastern European countries, but some African countries. And he advised them on things that we can't say on this channel. And he basically spent the last couple of years of being the Prime Minister building himself a list of contacts to go and make himself incredibly rich. Now, he did that on the sly. He did that to basically set himself up for the rest of his life. Donald Trump is doing it in front of your face, and he's doing it while he's in power. And World Liberty Financial is a private company run by Eric and Donald Trump Jr. And I said before the election that World Liberty Financial is going to be the Achilles heel of Donald Trump, because something somewhere at some point in the future is going to go wrong. Now, what got World Liberty Finance in the door of the Pakistan Crypto Council? What got them in the door? Was it the fact that it had the Trump name? Absolutely. They are doing deals with exchanges to launch ETFs. They have bought a percentage of a certain exchange that you're watching us on now. They are dealing with nation states. They are a proxy company because they're run by the sons, but we know that the dad runs the ship. Now, as long as you know this, as long as you know that it's Trump in charge, as long as you know that what he's doing, you have to ask yourself, is Donald Trump a net positive for crypto? Is he a net positive for the world? Is he a net positive for America? That's the question to ask. You can do the same thing with Biden or Milei or Starmer or any leader or Carney. I can't believe Canada. I cannot believe they've elected Mark Carney. But there you go. If your leader is a net positive, that's all you can ask for. You are not going to get Mother Teresa as your prime minister or president, because the type of personality that wants to become a president or a prime minister is very narcissistic. You're not going to get a humble person in charge of your country because they won't last 2 minutes. You're going to get a narcissist. And that's what Trump is. That's what Trudeau was. The lady that was in charge of New Zealand, all narcissists. They're the types of people that want to run countries. Occasionally, you will get a good person, but they're in it for themselves. Make no bones about this. They're in it for themselves. And as long as Trump remains a net positive for America, that's all you can hope for. And World Liberty Financials, doing what they're doing, why are the American government not going to Pakistan and India to arrange a country level agreement? Why is it a private company owned by the President of America? That's the question I would be asking if I was a Democrat. But the Democrats are too busy making TikToks about pretending to be superheroes. And the Democrats are not a serious party to go up against Trump at the minute. And that's why I think Gavin Newsom is practicing. I think Gavin Newsom looks more than likely to be the number one. And I think the AOC is likely to be number two. I don't see anybody else on that side of the fence at the minute. They need to go more centre. They've gone so far left that it's not even showing on the radar at the minute. So why are they not pulling him up about this? Where is the accountability? Why are they calling him out about things? He's distracted them to the point where they're absolutely pointless. World Liberty Financial should not be sitting down with the Pakistani Crypto Council. It shouldn't even be there, but they are. Why? Because there's no opposition, and he's got the House and himself, and they run the show, and nobody can put anything up against it. Now, what this does remind me of is in the UK, the Tories won an election, and it was Boris Johnson. And Boris Johnson said, trust me, and I will do the right thing. And even Labour seats that had been Labour for 50 years voted for Johnson. And he royally messed it up. Yes, he did. He royally messed it up. And now we've got the biggest Labour government that the country's seen in God knows how many years, because he messed it up, not because Labour were any good. And the fear I've got is the World Liberty Financial are going to do something horrifically wrong, lose an awful lot of money, get hacked, whatever it might be, and it's all going to come crashing down on crypto and Donald Trump. Because we want crypto adoption, but we don't want it to be blown out of every horn in every building in America. We want adoption for what it's worth. We want the banking system. We want digitized assets. We want real world assets on the blockchain, yes. But what we don't want is Donald Trump's family running around the world, picking up all the countries one by one and becoming the single point of crypto in the world, because that's not going to do anybody any good. So that's the issue we have. Is he a net positive right now? Yes. Will he be a net positive in 3 years' time? Probably. But that's the thing that you do. You take the lesser of two evils as your leader. That's the issue that we've got. And anyway, I've gone on plenty of time. Enough. It is now almost 12 o'clock. It is 12 o'clock, in fact. Thank you. Good morning, Tariq, for coming in and saying hello. I am not back tomorrow morning, but if you give me a second, I will show you what we are doing tomorrow night, because Binance nights are the nights where we give away crypto. And tomorrow night, we have this. When my machine loads. Okay, let me very quickly show you this. Hopefully this will load up on the screen. There we go. Okay, give me a second while I switch over to this, and I'll bring it up for you. Okay, here we go. So tomorrow night on Binance, as you can see the Binance logo there, we will be having our quid game. That is tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central European Time. If you don't know what time that is where you are, it's 7 hours from now, wherever you are. So it's midday here, 7 o'clock. If you're KB and you're in the UK, it's 6 p.m. Just in time for tea. You can sit down with his fish fingers and chips, and you can watch a stream about a cat meme. If you are in India, I believe you're going to be a few hours ahead. Maybe it's 11 or 12 o'clock at night over there. Wherever you are, it's 7 hours from now. And this will be tomorrow night. We'll be giving away Mew. We'll be looking at all their updates. They've been at the Solana conference that was this week. They've been there. I think they're going to go to a few more conferences. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to do some charts. The Oracle's going to be with me. We're going to be in the studio. We're going to talk about all things Mew tomorrow night. And as Tariq quite rightly points out, Mary will win. Although, to be fair, Tariq, didn't Danny, I think Danny won the Pride on Crow giveaway, which I did at the weekend. I think that it was midnight. I think Kabir, Jason and Danny, I think Danny won the main prize. And you know what we should do, Tariq? We should just give 50% of the prizes to Danny and Mary before the show even starts to give Tariq a chance. Also, Kishan, who we've not seen for a while because he's setting up a crypto school, Kishan has won, and I don't think I've sent Kishan his prize yet. So if you're watching this, Kishan, you've won. I've messaged you on Telegram a few times. You need to go and check that out. Anyway, enough of that. It's now gone 12 o'clock. Thank you, everybody. I will see you all tomorrow night at 7 p.m. with the Oracle to do the next quid game. Take care. Have a very nice Tuesday.